Hi everyone, and welcome to another week of online Storytime. I'm Miss Dana. I'm one of the youth librarians at the Foxford Grove Memorial Library. I'm so glad that you're able to join me today. This week we're going to talk about nighttime, but before we get started, I want to give a big shout out to Greenwillow Books, Hyperion, and Harper publication, along with Miss Carole for letting us use their materials during our story time today. So with that being said, let's get started with our hello song. Hi everybody! Let's sing. Hello everybody, how do you do? How do you do? How do you do? Hello everybody, how do you do? I love you today. If you like the color red, pat your head. If you like the color blue, pat your shoes. If you like the color green, pat your knees. I love you today. Sing along. Hello everybody, how do you do? How do you do? How do you do? Hello everybody, how do you do? I love you today. Listen up. If you like dinosaurs, let me hear your roar. If you like ice cream, say yum. If you like rocket ships, blast off. I love you today. Let's sing it. Hello everybody, how do you do? How do you do? How do you do? Hello everybody, how do you do? I love you today. Great singing, everyone. All right, we're going to read our first story. It's called Goodnight, Goodnight by Carin Berger. Good night, it's sleepy time. Good night stories, good night songs, good night hugs, and good night kisses. Good night hugs again? Good night dances. Dances? What? Okay. Good night dances. Here we go. Good night stories, good night songs, good night hugs, good night kisses, good night hugs again. Good night dances, good night monsters. Monsters? There are no monsters here. Really? There is nothing under the bed. I'll check. Oh, nothing except Bunny. Alrighty, let's see. Good night stories, good night songs, good night hugs, good night kisses, good night hugs again. Good night dances, good night Bunny, and good night jumping beans. Jumping beans. Okay, dear. Okay, jumping beans. 3 jumps. 1, 2, 3. Now, good night stories, good night songs, good night hugs, good night kisses, good night hugs again. Good night dances, good night Bunny, good night jumping beans, good night monkeys. Monkeys? Oh no, not monkeys. Naughty monkeys. It's bedtime. Okay, one last time. Good night stories, good night songs, good night hugs, good night kisses, good night hugs again. Good night dances, good night Bunny, good night jumping beans, and just one little monkey kiss. Good night sips, good night snuggles, good night tickles. No. No tickles. Goodnight tiptoes. Goodnight whispers. Shh. Goodnight, my loves. Good night. The end. All right, my friends, I need everyone to get 5 fingers out, just like this. We are going to sing 5 little monkeys jumping on the bed. Are you ready? 5 little monkeys jumping on a bed. One fell off and bumped his head. Mama called the doctor and the doctor said, "No more monkeys jumping on the bed." 4 little monkeys jumping on a bed. One fell off and bumped his head. Mama called the doctor and the doctor said, "No more monkeys jumping on the bed." We have 3 little monkeys jumping on a bed. One fell off and bumped his head. Mama called the doctor and the doctor said, "No more monkeys jumping on the bed." 2 little monkeys jumping on a bed. One fell off and bumped his head. Mama called the doctor and the doctor said, "No more monkeys jumping on the bed." We have 1 left. 1 little monkey jumping on the bed. He fell off and bumped his head. Mama called the doctor and the doctor said, "No more monkeys jumping on the bed." So what happened, do you think? They all went to bed. The end. All right. So our next, we're going to do a flannel story. And it's called Good Night Moon. All right. And this is by Margaret Wise Brown. In a great green room, there was a telephone and a red balloon and a picture of a cow jumping over the moon. And there were 3 little bears sitting on chairs. And 2 little kittens and a pair of mittens. And a little toy house and a young mouse. And a comb and a brush and a bowl full of mush. And there was a quiet old lady whispering, "Shh. Good night, room. Good night, moon. Good night, cow jumping over the moon. Good night, light, and good night, red balloon. Good night, bears, and good night, chairs. Good night, kittens, and good night, mittens. Good night, clocks, and good night, socks. Good night, little house, and good night, mouse. Good night, comb, and good night, brush. Good night, nobody, and good night, mush. Good night to the little old lady whispering, "Shh." Good night, stars, and good night, air. Good night, noises everywhere. The end. So our next song we're going to sing, I actually need a helper with today. So we have Mr. John here. So he has actually never sung or even heard the Sticky Bubblegum song. So this is going to be fun. I know. Are you ready?
Of course.
Mm-hmm. Did anyone bring their bubblegum?
Did you bring your bubblegum today?
No. Well, reach into your pocket and see if you have
pick it up.
Pretend bubblegum. I do.
I got mine.
Do you too?
Do you have yours?
What color is your bubblegum?
Mine's green.
Okay, now take the wrapper
Mine's
off
orange.
and put the wrapper in your pocket.
Put the wrapper
on the lid. And pop bubblegum into your mouth. Chew it up. Is it all soft and squishy?
Mine is.
Does it taste good?
Delicious.
Now, let's blow a bubble. Show me with your hands
How big it goes.
your bubble is.
All right, ready?
Oh no, my bubble popped. Did yours?
Mine did.
Okay, pull all the bubble gum off your face, off your nose, off your eyes. eyebrows, under your chin, behind your ears. Get it all in a great big glob and put it right in the middle of your hand. Take the other hand and smash it.
All right, you ready?
Oh,
all right.
Are you stuck?
I'm stuck.
The only way I know to get unstuck is to sing the sticky
You have to sing the sticky bubble gum.
Ready?
Makes sense.
Sticky, sticky, sticky bubble gum, bubble gum, bubble gum. Sticky, sticky, sticky bubble gum. Sticking your hands to your feet.
Hands to your feet.
Are you stuck? Ready?
Stick. Sticky, sticky, sticky bubble gum, bubble gum, bubble gum. Sticky, sticky, sticky bubble gum.
Sticking your fingers to your knees.
Stick it to your knees.
Ready?
Unstick. Sticky, sticky, sticky bubble gum, bubble gum, bubble gum. Sticky, sticky, sticky bubble gum.
Sticking your toe to
Stick your
your
toe to your nose.
nose. Come on, you can do it. All right, got it?
Unstick.
Sticky, sticky,
Sticky bubble gum, bubble gum, bubble gum. Sticky, sticky, sticky bubble gum.
Sticking your hand to someone else's hand. You got somebody? Ready?
Unstick. Sticky, sticky, sticky bubble gum, bubble gum, bubble gum. Sticky, sticky, sticky bubble gum.
Sticking your foot to someone else's foot. Got it?
Unstick. Sticky, sticky, sticky bubble gum, bubble gum, bubble gum. Sticky, sticky, sticky bubble gum.
Sticking your back to someone else's back. Come on, back to back. Scoot up to somebody. You got it? Ready?
Got it.
Unstick.
Sticky, sticky, sticky bubble gum, bubble gum, bubble gum. Sticky, sticky, sticky bubble gum.
Sticking your head to the floor. Heads down, everybody. Are you stuck? Let's count to 3 and say unstick.
1, 2, 3. Unstick.
Good job.
That was good. Great job, John, and everybody at home. Now let's read our last story. It's called Goodnight Owl by Greg Pizzoli. Owl was settling into bed when he heard a noise. It was a tiny noise, no louder than a whisper, a funny noise he hadn't heard before. Someone must be at the door, said Owl. Just a minute. But no one was there. Probably just the wind, said Owl. And he laid down in bed and said to himself, Good night, Owl. Squeak. Then he heard the noise again. It's coming from the cupboard, said Owl. So he went to take a look. He emptied every shelf, but there was no noise to be found. So Owl went back to bed. Good night, Owl, he said. And then he heard the noise again. Squeak! It must be under the floor, said Owl. And he pulled up the floorboards one by one. That's silly. But he didn't find the noise. So Owl went back to bed. Squeak! This house has a noisy roof, yelled Owl. So he took down the roof. There, said Owl, no more noise. Owl got back into bed, the stars and the moon shining down where his roof used to be. Good night, Owl. Did you see the mouse? He's right there by his bed. But Owl didn't close his eyes. He didn't dare. He knew that any second he would hear the noise. He waited and waited and waited and waited. Squeak! It's in the walls! Owl screeched. "I'll get you, Noise," Owl said as he tore down the walls to his house. But he found nothing. The cupboard was empty. The floorboards were pulled up. The roof was pulled down. The walls were gone. Owl went back to bed and he said, "Good night, Owl." And then he saw the noise. Squeak! Owl smiled and he said, "Good night, Noise." And they went to sleep. Oh, they're snuggled together. The end. All right, now it is time for our goodbye song. If you have musical instruments at home, you are more than welcome to do them, or you can do the hand motions with me while we sing. It's a little slow going today, folks, sorry. All right, you guys ready? Really slow. Skinnamarink-a-dink-a-dink, Skinnamarink-a-doo. I love you. Skinnamarink-a-dink-a-dink, Skinnamarink-a-doo. I love you. I love you in the morning and in the afternoon. I love you in the evening underneath the moon. Skinnamarink-a-dink-a-dink, Skinnamarink-a-doo. I love you. You sing. I love you. I love you. I love you in the morning and in the afternoon. I love you in the evening underneath the moon. Skinnamarink-a-dink-a-dink, Skinnamarink-a-doo. I love you. I love you. All right, my friends, I'm so glad that you were able to join me today. I can't wait to see you all next week. Bye.